Cast. And I am super excited to be sitting down and talking with the Donahue Motorsport family. So, Dawn, Stephen, and Amber, how's your guys' day going?
Good. It's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Always in the shop.
Fantastic.
I have some questions to ask you guys. So, first off, Stephen, when did you start racing and what inspired you to race?
Well, I started back in 2008. It seems like a long time ago now, but it doesn't really seem that long ago in my memory. So I started when I was 10, and dad always raced, mom raced, and my grandfather raced. It's always what we've always done, and I've always wanted to do it. And dad finally built me a car, and I was able to go racing.
That's really actually awesome. What other tracks do you race aside from Thunder Road?
So we run Thunder Road, Riverside Speedway, and Adventure Park in Brooklyn, New Hampshire. We run White Mountain a little bit. We're going to Loudon, New Hampshire here in a couple weeks for the Northeast Classic. And we run kind of all over New England, Oxford, Seacomp,
Some
and
Canada.
Thompson. Some in Canada, some races in Canada we do. I've run a lot of tracks a lot of years, but the traveling part's still kind of up in the air on what we're going to be able to do this year.
So I heard you got into a really bad crash. You flipped and your car caught on fire. What happened? Break any bones?
Yeah, we were racing hard with another competitor at Thunder Road, and we just made some contact and ended up into the wall, which is a pretty common thing. That's what happens with racing, and just the circumstances, we caught on fire and was looked really bad. I don't think it was that bad being in the car, but I didn't really see. I've seen videos, but at that point, I didn't think it was as bad as it was. So that happened. We went to the hospital, and the 4 bones that go from your knuckles down to your wrist bone where your hand moves, all 4 of those bones broke in different ways, but they're all healed up now, and I can do just about everything I could before. So
That's good.
not too bad.
That's good that
Yeah.
you can do stuff now. So what are some ups and downs of racing?
There's a lot more downs than there are ups. It can make you feel like you're on top of the world, and then the next week you could feel like you're in the gutters. It's a very humbling sport, with it being it's a very much team sport, but there's also the fact that you got, instead of one team you're playing against or competing against, you're competing against 30 other teams all going for the same goal. So it's a very rewarding sport, a lot of work, and it's definitely very humbling when things are going bad.
So like, have you made any friends or enemies during racing?
I've made a few friends over the years in the Tiger days and up the late models, and friends I met in racing and became really good friends in high school and stuff. I've made some enemies along the way too, people I don't get along with in racing, which racing, it will bring out the worst in people because of the competitive side, but at the end of the day, we're all the same people. We put our pants on one leg at a time and go to work, and that's a hard thing to separate sometimes when you're out on the track with pretty much just your own thoughts and what you're doing with your wheel and your pedal.
I mean, in any sport that's competitive, it's off. There's going to be some enemies, especially when it's you versus everyone else,
Yeah,
and not like a team or anything.
yeah, it's definitely very hard to separate it. Remember that this isn't how everyone is outside the track. It's when you put that helmet on, it's very different than when you're outside the car. And that's when you're in the car, it's very hard to see things that way. And the fans get that way too. They root for their drivers and they're very loyal. And that's what makes racing what it is. A little bit different than basketball, but it is very, very still team oriented, and the fans are always very committed to their teams.
So did racing affect your school grade, or did they improve?
Actually, they improved a little bit. I was told if my grades weren't up, I couldn't race. So I worked harder at school when I got the race car, and not that my grades were got the A's or anything like that, 'cause I wasn't good in school. I was hard to sit at a desk and be still a lot, but they actually improved through racing, and it was my parents made it very clear this is a privilege and not a right. So you got to earn to be able to uh, be able to race. So it was actually a very positive aspect in my life.
Same with other sports like basketball, soccer, and all of that. What's the main reason why you started racing in the first place?
The main reason was because of dad and my grandfather. So when I was a kid, my parents were racing. They were gone a lot of the weekends during the summer because racing was a lot of time back then. So I'd stay with my cousins over on Donahue Road, Timmy and Sharon, and I didn't get to go to the races. So once I got old enough, I could go, and my grandparents would be able to watch me because I was always running around and playing, being a kid. Uh, I I was doing that, and then once my dad was getting towards the end of his career, and he was able to focus more on me racing, it was like perfect. I'll be able to race, and I'll be able to see my dad more, and just another way for us to bond, which was really nice. So that was more of why I got into it. Spend more time with my father, and I really love racing. So.
Yeah. So were you ever bullied as a kid? What impact did it have on you?
Okay, one more time.
Were you ever bullied as a kid, and what impact did it have on you?
Yeah, I was bullied a little bit as a kid. I had a really bad speech impediment. Could not say. I still don't say my R's right, but I had a slurring problem with S's, and I went to speech class a lot for about 6 years, and it was tough, but luckily for me, with being such a small school, and only from kindergarten kind of up to 8th grade, I was kind of with the same kids. We all became good friends by the end, but towards the beginning, it was tough, and I came in from a different school and area, so it was tough in the beginning for sure.
How has social media impacted you and your fans?
I think the fan aspect for us with social media has been really good. My girlfriend Amber's been really, really good with doing social media, race car, promoting Donahue Motorsports, and all our sponsors, which has been nice. But I think social media can also be a detriment and hurt things depending on who's kind of being on it. Like social media is very, very hard to have people be positive all the time. There's always somebody that wants to be negative.
Yeah.
That's just, unfortunately, that's just what they enjoy, and it's hard to keep that kind of separated. But for us, it's been more of a positive note for sure.
So Amber, I have a quick question for you. What do you do?
I do a lot of social media stuff. I videotape all the races of Stephen and John that I can go to. We have a YouTube page that I'll post those to. I do whatever I'm told, whatever I'm asked, I should say. Whether it's in the shop or at the track, I do a lot. Support's the biggest thing.
That's cool because like you always have to have someone to support you. Now Stephen, I've heard you won a few milk bowls. How long did it take you to win?
Well, we finally got our milk bowl this past year. It for me, it's been a lifelong dream and working my way to get to that point to be able to win a milk bowl. And this year, it just all came together. And this was, I think, either my 6th or 7th milk bowl. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it took all the right pieces coming into place, like sponsors and support and the crew members working on the car, which made a huge difference for us, was getting the crew back and working on the cars all the time. And if I didn't get Norm Andrews, who gave me my first late model ride, I would have never been able to get to this point. So there's been a lot of people through the years that have been able to get me to winning the milk bowl, which has been my career high in my eyes at this point.
So what inspired you to hang up all these cars up here?
Yeah, that was that was actually my father. Me and my buddy Brian one night, it was like a Thursday night after race season, the points. And actually, I think it might have been before that. Sorry. It was in between races. And we decided to take a 3.5 hour drive to Maine to go buy a late model. And I bought it from the motor, and we won the championship the next week. And my dad was taking the body apart, and we were gonna wrap it for a throwback. Well, my dad was sitting there thinking, because my dad never got to win a King of the Road. He's like, let's take this body and hang it up in our shop, because we have plenty of room right now, because the walls can't do a whole lot with. Let's hang this in the shop, and that whole other body on the other car, we'll just put this one on. So we just unriveted it from the tin work, picked it up in one piece, and set it right on this guy for the milk bowl. So then winning the milk bowl, we're like, well, we kind of have to hang that one up now. So we got these two, and I'm gonna hang my championship from Groveton this year on the other side. So we'll have the perfect year all on one wall. So it all came down to my dad's idea.
Imagine just walking in and seeing 3 championship winner cars.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the theory. It's like in racing, like I said earlier, it's very humbling. So odds of us having a year like this again are very likely. So we want to be able to remember it for as long as we can, for sure. And that's the perfect way to do it. To just have the bodies of the guys that did it that one year.
Now, I know you have a lot, but what are some of your sponsors?
Oh, well, I got you guys, Connor's Motivational Mornings. I got Ed Out. I got Vermont Motorsports that came on last year. I got Theodis Landscaping. I got Precious Paws. I got McCarthy Family Maple, AB Excavation, Sierra Barnaby Trucking, Prime Spa, Prime Salon and Day Spa. She changed her name, my aunt. So I always mess that one up. Stone Service Center, Lowry's Auto Sales have been with me since I was 10. So I've got a lot of good sponsors that have some that are newer and some that have been with me the whole time around.
So Dawn.
I said Stones, didn't I? Sorry. Stones Service Station, sorry, my bad.
So Dawn.
Yeah.
It's now your turn. What inspired you to start racing?
Well, I said to John, I said, I want to do an enduro. So I went out and I was running enduros and I did well in the enduros. And he made a smart aleck remark that, well, if you can get sponsors, I'll build you a car. Well, just so happens being a female, it's a little easier to get sponsors. And I went out and got a bunch of sponsors. So he had to put his money where his mouth was, and he built me a street stock.
That's really cool.
So I raced for 2 years. And I got done in 2001 because I wasn't having fun. And I always said, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't do it.
That's true. And I also heard you won one race.
I did.
Good job.
There were 3 rookies in the winner's circle that night. Myself, Justin Hart, and Jeff French. So that was, I think, probably a once. I don't know if it's ever happened again that had 3 rookies in the winner's circle.
What are some ups and downs of being in a race family? Because I know you have a daughter that races horses, and of course you have Steven that races cars, and John, and you, technically you.
Right.
So what are some ups and downs?
Oh, I don't know. The ups are definitely the wins, family time. We do a lot of holiday parties with the crew and families, and the kids all come. And so to us, racing is all about friends and family. And, at the end of the day, what happens on the track happens on the track. If you let it affect your friendships, it's not very hard. It's pretty hard to separate it. We've got some really close friends that we've raced with for years. So John's been racing since 1996. So 28 years?
I think 28.
Maybe longer than that. Is that right?
28,
96 for it. So 28, this will be his 28th year racing. So
we're still friends with some of the people we raced with back in Tiger days, and then we have some really close friends now from late models. We've actually become better friends with friends we were with 24 years ago as a Tiger that we now race late models with at White Mountain. So those are the ups. The downs are long nights in the race shop. The racing isn't as much as it was back then. I can remember racing 3 nights a week, traveling from New York to Maine to New Hampshire. We didn't spend a lot of time with the kids because we were racing. That's just what we do.
So like how did it feel to see anyone in your family who has won a championship win?
That's pretty exciting. It takes a while to set in. Stephen winning the championship was like the cherry on top, just because John always went out there to win. He never saw the big picture. And Stephen just, was a cherry on the top for Donahue Motorsports.
That's really
And then to win the Milk Bowl just was even better.
must be really exciting, especially as
It
a
is.
mom. So as a parent, have you ever seen Steven or any of your kids get bullied?
Oh, yeah.
And what is that like to see that?
I was bullied when I was in high school. So it's not something new. It's definitely, I think with social media and the way schools are today, back when I was in school, no one did anything about bullying. You kind of took care of it yourself. You had an issue when you got out of school, you walked across the bridge and you settled it. Now you don't. The teachers are supposed to, and the schools are supposed to, stand up for the kids. Stephen had terrible dyslexia. He was bullied terribly. Samantha was bullied. And it doesn't matter if you're pretty, if you're a good athlete, if you're, you have troubles with your school.
Mhm.
All kinds of people get bullied. And it doesn't matter your social status, your family status, just bullying is not okay.
Yeah. And what stinks is how people just let it happen now. And that's why people come back and do it. And we don't need bullying in this world.
No, we don't. And I always told my kids that I expect you to stand up for the kids that are being bullied because it's not okay. And there were many times that Stephen and Samantha have stuck up for kids that were being bullied. And I think sometimes the bullies just, I don't know if they're doing it for attention or because of their home life, but it just doesn't make sense.
You should
But
be
they're
both.
learning it from somewhere.
Yeah. Because they wouldn't just pick on people for fun.
Right.
I don't think anyone does that.
No,
And
Or
whoever
they
does
shouldn't
that,
be.
yeah. And whoever does that, they just want to look cool. And
Yeah.
there's just no need for it.
Right.
So have you ever been bullied in being a girl in racing?
I don't want to say we were bullied. So when I raced, there were 4 of us. There were the 2 BD girls, Jenny Bigelow and myself, and Tracy Bodos, who was a late model driver back when we were driving. So there were 5 females racing at Thunder Road. I don't know that Tracy had the same issues. I know a lot of the guys we raced with, most of them were really good. I mean, I raced at Airborne, I raced at Canaan, and everyone knew John was racing. So when I rolled in, the Rabidoos would come over at Plattsburgh and go, John, you go take care of your car, we'll take care of Dawn, and I'd go out and race. And there was always a good group, but then there was always that group of guys that they didn't want to get beat by the girls. They didn't want to go around us if we were slow. They wanted to drive through us.
Mhm.
And I had one guy that kept wrecking me, and he came over one day and we kind of had a verbal discussion, and he walked off, and John and my brother kind of heard him and his crew running their mouths, and John's like, if you're that much faster, just go around her. And some of them just never gave us the chance to go out there and race and go forward because they didn't want to go around us, they just drive through us. So there was always a lot of support, but then you always had the bullies.
So, how did it feel to see Steven crash or any of your kids crash?
It's always scary because they take their helmet off, so you have no communication with them. So John wrecked really bad at Thunder Road off turn 1. And we were trying to talk to him on the radio, and of course he had taken his helmet off. With Steven, the circumstances, we weren't at the track when he wrecked and caught on fire. I was at White Mountain when he wrecked and caught on fire. You always put yourself, or we always make sure we have the best suits, the gloves, all the protective equipment you can have. You can't wrap your kids in a bubble, but you want to give them the best safety equipment they can have.
Yeah.
So, as all the cars have fire extinguishers, but Stephen and I were talking about this the other day. He goes, if you think I'm reaching for that fire extinguisher, if my car's on fire, you're crazy. I'm getting the heck out. So it's just a matter of, can you get out? I thought about it after Stephen's wreck. I'm like, how many of these guys out there racing could actually get out of their car if it was upside down and on fire like Stephen did? And you would not believe the racers that came up to Stephen and were like, there's no way I could have got out of that car. So
it must be pretty scary for people on the track and for fans.
There was a lot, in a lot of the videos you saw of his crash, there were a lot of people screaming.
And it was also it was like dead silence.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing with the problem with racing, it's not really unfortunate. It is, but it isn't. It's hard with racing because there's always a reaction. It's not that they're not being proactive, they're trying to make things safe, but we have with dealing that. Until something bad happens, it's hard to show the reason to make a change to make it safer. And with my wreck, luckily where I was right in front of the safety point. That wreck had happened, which odds were happening on the backstretch, and very likely the Thunder Road wall angles up, so you're at the climate. The backstretch is flat, so the odds were happening over there, not as likely. But if it did happen, and you had someone that couldn't get out of their car, it could end very badly. But they have made some great safety changes, gloves mandatory, fuel, they got a fuel vent out the back now, like on that car, all because of me, which I like to take some pride in, like safety features. But it's hard to give a reason to change it when it's worked so well for so long. So until it's always easier to give a reaction than to try and advance it without giving an actual reason or something. That's where it's hard with racing to do stuff like that.
When people get out of their car and stop their chance of winning just to see if you're okay or anyone else is okay, that's a true respect.
Yeah, there's a lot of sportsmanship in racing, like something like that. That was the perfect scenario to where we're all just people. Racing is super competitive, just like every other sport. And when you're out there, you're thinking about no one but yourself and winning. On average, that's what you think about, winning. So when something like that happens, it really hits back like, okay, as much as you don't like someone, and that doesn't mean you're gonna go out and have dinner or hang out with them, go and do stuff like that. But you don't want to see someone getting hurt from something we all do for a hobby. This isn't our livelihood, which that's the good thing when something like that happens. That all kind of brings people back to reality.
Yes, that is really awesome, but weird at the same time. So now, Dawn, do you want to answer some of the questions I have for John?
Sure, I can try.
Okay. So I heard that John was unbeatable in 2000.
In 2000 and 2001, was it 2001, where he ran 51 races?
I think so. 51 to 50.
Yeah, so in 2000 or 2001, John ran 51 races that summer, between Airborne Speedway, Riverside Speedway, Oxford Plains Speedway, Thunder Road. He ran the Tiger Tour. He was the Tiger Tour champion. He was the Thunder Road champion. In that season, he had 13 wins. And I want to say 25 to 30 top threes. We have a picture somewhere of all the trophies he won that year. He used to drive to Maine 3.5 hours to run 20 laps and come home.
Gee,
So we did a lot of racing, and the more you race, the quicker your reaction time is.
because I know that he was unbeatable and he won 14 or 13. I'm pretty sure it was 14. And he was unbeatable in the Flying Tigers division.
Okay, so yep, you're talking about Riverside Speedway.
Yeah.
So we didn't race there every week, but 14 straight races that he did race over there, he won.
That must be cool to be like known as like nearly unbeatable.
Well, I don't know if you'd say unbeatable. We had a lot of luck. The car was good.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work on the cars. And it, everyone thinks it's easy to maintain a racing,
No.
a race team. Well, this year we have 3 late models. It's a lot of work. And mainly all the work is done by John and Steven. And then we have the crew, Justin and Brian and Rob and Jordan and Papa Paul, John's dad, Paul. Amber and I do a lot of the touch up. A lot of John's crew is coming back. Sherry and Tracy are coming back. They're going to help maintain and touch up cars. So we've got a couple new crew members coming on. But to win on the track, it starts in the shop first.
Because then you have to like build a car and you have to
Well, you got to maintain it. You
Yeah.
can't just bring them home and let them set and then go back out racing next week. There's a lot of work to it.
you gotta fix it, you gotta replace stuff. Like I'm pretty sure the main part of racing that a lot of people like I'm not talking for everyone, but I know a lot of people mainly like about racing is just going after every race, going back into the shop and constantly working on your vehicles after you're done.
Yeah, if you don't wreck it, it can be an easy week. If you wreck, it can be a
Hard week.
short week. And especially with Steven, because he's not only racing at Thunder Road, so he's got to work on his car here, but he has to go to Norm's and work on the car at Norm's too. So we stay pretty busy.
So how many sponsors does John have?
So John has Cody Chevrolet, CR Barnaby, McCarthy Family Maple, GD Machines, Bergamot Namor is kind of an associate on all the cars. I think that's it. Oh, Lowry's Auto, Rickland Farm Hauling. And we're still looking for some more sponsors, so.
Sponsors are really cool because then you get to put them all over your car and then like it's just like really cool. Yeah, and it also means a lot to the sponsors too because like usually with other people just say that they're sponsors when in racing they put their sponsors on cars.
Right.
And I feel like I'm not saying it's not respectful to like it's not also respectful to have a sponsor, but I feel like it shows a lot when you have your sponsor on a car and like it's definitely cool.
Yeah, and you can, Bergamot and Amore kind of set the bar pretty high with Steven. They rewrote the sponsorship, what you can do. I mean, they ran sales, they promoted Steven to the tilt. He went down and did shows. They did, after he won, they did sales. The 3 big sales they did, they sold out within hours. So now you know, we're working for what we can do even more for our sponsors to emulate or escalate getting them out there.
And social media is a huge part of that now. That's
Yeah.
where it's positive, where you can show your sponsors off and promote them in a whole nother aspect, because everybody has Facebook really nowadays, and they're on social media, so it's a whole nother atmosphere where you can get them out there to where in a racing and for the community, racing community is like different demographics than just regular Facebook. So you just got a whole different set of people that you're getting responsive for it out to, which is really cool. That's what the community loves.
Yeah. So, how much races did John win, like in total?
I think it's
51.
Oh, no, it's 50. I think he's at 50.
Yeah, it's 50. I
Is
I
it
think.
think he's at
50?
50. He won one last
Okay, So
Um,
50.
Imagine winning 50 races. Imagine how cool that must be.
Yeah, I was happy to win one. And I think if you sat down and if John was here and he was talking, I think he would tell you the same thing Stephen did, that his favorite, most important win was the 2009 Milk Bowl.
I mean, milk bowls are always a pretty good win.
They're a tough race to win.
Yeah.
You know,
year. Unless you're next week. Next week's very good. He's won a lot of them. They are a very hard race.
And have you won 2 or 1 milk bowl?
I've just won one.
Okay.
John's won too.
Because I saw.
Dad won one.
He won a Tiger Milk Bowl
Oh.
and the late model
Okay,
Milk
cool.
Bowl.
Yeah,
I
a
thought-
mini and a big one.
Yeah, and back to what you're saying about the social media thing, it's really important because like if you like go around and like around town and make posters and saying meet us here, it's a car show like what happened yesterday. Not a lot of people are gonna do that because it's a lot more different than like social media where you have a bunch of supporters and you actually get notified about this stuff. Like what if you're at home and you're sleeping? Then you won't then and you like don't go out there, then you'll never be able to see it.
Well, that was good with the car show. We actually had some fans from Groveton drive all the way over to Groveton, or from Groveton area, that watched me over there come to the show. And even though we didn't have a 2-car, we had this car that came up and talked. And if you didn't have social media, they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known about it.
Because
It's really good.
it's gonna take a long time. It probably like until you're 200 to go around putting posters,
Yeah.
and probably it's gonna take 50 years to make the posters. Imagine putting those all around the world. Half of them are gonna be useless because you don't know. Because if you live in China and you put posters there,
Yeah.
no one's gonna. It's gonna be kind of confusing.
Mm.
So yeah. So yeah, I know that your nickname is King of the Road.
Right now, I'm the reigning king of the road.
So
Right.
how did you get that?
So that's just the when you win the championship at Thunder Road, that's the nickname they give you for the year because you won the championship. But usually my nickname is Little Irish. My dad is Big Irish, or just Irish Dawn Donahue. So it was Little Irish, but now I'm Little Irish, and now everyone just calls him Irish Dawn Donahue.
Irish John Donahue. That's it. That's a good name.
Yeah.
So back to you. How did it feel in the moment to win the Milk Bowl and
There was a lot of emotions. It was I'm glad I had some time to be by myself in the car and just kind of, in my eyes, get the giddiness out and the swelled up eyes and a little bit of tears and stuff, because it's been a lifelong dream of mine. I've always rather had. I didn't care about King of the Road. Just nothing. I'm glad I have it. I mean, I've wanted to do it, but compared to King of the Road versus Milk Bowl, I just always wanted the Milk Bowl. And to finally get it, it was a dream come true. And from my experience personally, it was a lot of weight lifted off my shoulders because I was just always trying to get that and never knowing if I would ever hit it. So it's just like just a lot of weight off my shoulders, monkey off my back, which was very, very nice. And then get all the people in Victory Lane and have my grandfather there, my uncle, my dad, my mom, my girlfriend, my sister. It was a very, very emotional moment.
I mean, you can always do something if your mind comes to it.
Yep.
And
for sure.
if you don't give up, you can always get there.
Yeah, exactly. It was there was a lot of years where I was thinking I don't want to do this anymore, and you just push through, and that would be in the rough times, like the low spells, but you always push through that, and then you get to the good times and back to enjoying it. It really is something you have to enjoy, and you gotta not quit and put your mind to it, and you can do it.
Do you still have those thoughts?
Yeah, oh yeah. There was probably mid-season last year where it was like things were not going well, and we were having a lot of car was fast and lines weren't moving, or there was a race. I hit the wall with the car and bent the rear end, and trailing end was hitting a chunk of lead. I didn't know it at the time, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Just immediately after the race, and just had a few weeks, and then just, oh, I'm just gonna get through, load the car, get home, and just get back to work, because you don't want to give up, and it paid off.
I mean, it must be pretty scary to crash and like so many bad things could happen.
Yeah,
And it must be really scary to get back on the road and do it right after you got seriously injured.
yeah. Well, that part in my brain's a little different, I guess. My brain doesn't think about what can happen, like what if I could get hurt. So like that wasn't really, I wasn't too nervous about getting back in the car or anything. It's just, which is not the right thing to do. I should like be a little nervous at least, but just for some reason my brain doesn't think that way. But it's a lot of after you wreck, it's not so much me getting hurt, it's more of like I wrecked one car. If I wreck another car, it's just the money, the time. The time is the big thing, and everyone else's time. Like you got people behind you, and you got sponsors that you commit to, and you say you're gonna do something, you got to do it. And it's like trying to make sure you fulfill the commitments you made is the part where it's like that's where it kind of weighs on me a little bit.
Is it ever like when you're really like far behind and like getting a car done? Is it ever like is it ever hard for you to like I don't know how to say this. How long usually does it take? It depends. I mean, it also depends on like what happened to the car in the race. But usually on a scale, how long does it take for you to fix the car back up for another race?
So if we have a good week, usually every week with me is you got to touch up body, because vinyl. I'm good at putting scuff marks on, which Amber usually takes care of that. You go through, you check your bearings, you put the car on scales, you square it, you check your angles, you do basically everything. So on a good week like that, where you don't have to pull the rear end or change a shock or anything like that, you can usually takes you about 2 to 3 nights of obviously getting home after work and doing it like that, not staying up till 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
But like 3 good nights of decent work, and not weekends, just like weeknights. I'd say that's about what it would take to get the car ready with no major damage.
So we have 3 cars then, so we don't have enough days in a week, do we, to keep those 3 cars going?
No.
That's why the weekends come in handy.
Wait, so when you guys are running late and you guys don't have a car on time for the race, do you guys like use another car that like you've already used?
Well, we haven't had that. We did actually have to do that. When I wrecked, I had to use my dad. My dad was under my uncle's car, so after I caught on fire there, I had to use my uncle's car, which meant Dad couldn't race, which was this car, which means Dad couldn't race the next day. But usually, if it comes down to it, like we will work through the night, whatever we gotta do, 3 days to make sure we can be there. As long as it's possible from the beginning, like we sit down, assess if we can get it done. And if we can't, we will work on trying to get the other car ready to go to the race. Because like I said, you got to commit.
Yeah.
You've also had other people offer.
Yeah, I've like when I wrecked, I had Jaden Perry. His car's here now. He offered me a car to run. Peyton and Mark Lanfear, they offered me their car to race. Sean Lamson of Lamson Sons and Hauling offered me a car to race. Tony Welch, Beetle Bailey. He was racing for someone else. He had his own car at the house. He said we could take. So we've been offered cars to use if we had to go and race, that's where having friends comes in handy. But we try not to do that because there's always a chance to where you could wreck their car, and if you borrow a car, you better fix their car.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but like that's what you would do because you're borrowing it.
That's what a good person would do.
Exactly.
Cause yeah, it just be like, cause then that means they would lose respect for you
Exactly.
if their car comes back and it's all
Right,
half
you
of it
just-
sliced off.
Yeah, you just drop it off, say thanks, and no, that's where it's like we try to always use our own cars, but we have had people that have offered us cars, which has been incredibly generous by them because it's a lot of money for people to put in the race cars.
Yeah.
You don't get many people offering race cars up very often, so that was very I don't want to say rewarding, but very nice to see that many people care and want to see me race, which was very cool.
Yes, definitely. Because like that's what like friends are gonna be always there for you if you're always there for your
Exactly.
friends, you know? And it's also expensive because
Right.
if you crash a friend's car, that's expensive to fix.
Yeah.
Because a car itself easily costs, but it depends on the condition.
Yeah.
But it easily costs about 1,000 or way
yeah.
over.
Yeah, well over that.
And then with like the engine and all that, if it doesn't come with like that,
Yeah.
it's easily gonna cost a few $1,000s to
Yeah.
even get everything you need to fix it, and it's just hard.
It's very hard.
So good friends always are willing to take a risk for other good
Yeah,
friends.
to lend a hand and be there for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah. So how is it being you, and how is it to be a girlfriend with a driver?
Very stressful, especially to be Steven's girlfriend because he drives a little erratically sometimes. And, you know, he wrecked that last year, 2022, so 2 years ago. So that right after that, up to that, it was fine. I was all right. You know, I had always enjoyed to watch Steven race. To be a part of it is even better. But after he wrecked, it was very stressful, very nerve-wracking. Never know what's gonna happen.
It must be pretty stressful, especially when you're really close to him too, and you see him on fire.
Not my favorite Steven moment.
I mean, I don't think it would be for anyone.
No.
I mean, it must be very stressful because whoever's cheering for you out on the track, you basically are proving them, like, I don't know how to say that, but you're basically, when they are cheering for you, it's like, I've had this happen to me, it's like all the pressure's on your back
Yeah.
because then you're scared of letting your fans down, and then like you never know if they're gonna go to someone else because real fans would never do that.
Yeah.
But like if people are just there to see anyone race, I mean, people can still do that, and people can like watch you race for the first time and be like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
definitely the main part.
There's a lot of fans that go. There's a lot of people that go to the races for the wrecks. But there's also a lot of people that just go because they enjoy racing. And then there's also the people that are your fans, and you're right. There's a lot of not always pressure, but you always kind of want to make them kind of happy or proud, kind of
Yeah.
like that with them choosing you to support, it's always nice to make them happy and proud, and then they can always say, "Yeah, my driver won instead of yours this week," which is always a little bit of bragging rights between fans,
Yeah.
which is always cool.
Or Stephen won me $200 on the Butt Hill
Yeah, there's a
racing
lot of
pool.
betting up on the racing, a lot of betting up on Bud Hill with racing pools and stuff. So there's always my buddy Justin, actually, his father won quite a bit of money off my dad back in the day, betting up on the hill. And it's funny that he actually works on my car now.
Is it like how does the bidding work? Do people like just buy like tickets and like they bid on a car and then if
They all like usually do like $1, $5, $10. Sometimes they do $20. They just put in kind of like a pot, and they have a random draw of how many people are in, and you draw one. Say there's 20 people, draw 1 through 20, and whoever gets ticket one, okay, you when the cars come out, you pick your driver first. Then the next two picks the next driver, whoever they want. Just kind of goes like that up on the hill.
It's
That's
just kind of like buddies, just
Yeah,
betting,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like
it's not
against the
like-
basketball game or
Yeah.
same idea.
yeah.
yeah, like I wonder how many people spent their money and had no luck.
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of that.
It's probably $1,000.
Oh yeah, I'm
Like
sure
more
over
than
the
1,000.
years, there's been up on Old Butt Hill. There's a lot of. I'm sure there's been a lot of years where people lost a little bit of money.
Yeah, I mean, basically nowadays, everywhere you go, there's gonna be some sort of bid on like if it's like a race or something. And yeah,
Especially
people,
nowadays, because you can do it with the
yeah,
drafting. So now you can do it online, and my
yeah,
buddy Jaden, he's always wanting to do something with it, so it's opened it up a lot over in just the last year for stuff like that.
and it's also that's the thing is how when you're bidding on something, it's very hard to not bid a low amount. Because then if you bid a low amount and you actually win, you're gonna get a low amount. If you bid a high amount and you don't win, then you lost the high amount.
Yeah,
So it's like, should I bid a low amount and like keep a lot of my money? But then,
that's where it all depends on how addicted they are to betting.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I do know that a lot of people bid a low amount and then they also bid a high amount. So yeah, I think a lot of the people just bid for fun.
Yeah.
Cause like a lot of people like are like, I need to get this money. Like if I get this money, I'm gonna do a dance.
Yeah.
But then but then other people on the other hand are like, I'm just here to race, or I'm just here to see races. So nowadays the bidding is a big part of the racing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like a big part. Like usually people come around with like the bid ticket things.
Not so much. Definitely not on the pitch. They just a lot of people nowadays look on their phones and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Like
You
messages.
do raffle tickets.
Yeah.
50-50 up on Thunder Road and stuff like that. I think it's definitely picked up a lot, and I think it's really only started this year. So I think Thunder Road this year will be even more of it for sure.
Yeah. Especially when there's people spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah. Come here. Come here. Anyway.
Just come right here. Hey, I'm Justin.
Can't see him.
Go over here. Stop man.
Okay.
So, hi.
Hi,
Who are you?
Justin Johnson.
Nice to meet you, Justin. I'm Connor.
Yes, we'll talk. I've been working on Stevens cars since 2016 is when we started, or 15 actually, started full-time helping him. Helped a little bit here and there before that, but that was when we first started when we came to Thunder Road and the Tiger. And back then I was definitely right into it. You know, same thing up here all the time, working on the cars. And we went late model racing, the same thing. We went up, met Norm. It was just me and him that night, and then kind of built up from there, got some more friends involved. And then they went back to running their own cars. I've taken a couple years off, and it's good to be back in the shop this year, working on it, working with everybody.
Definitely. I mean, it's pretty cool to work with everyone. So what do you do during the races?
It depends. I mean, we all pretty much do whatever's needed. Try to kind of keep it, everybody do the same job every time, so you know it's done the same. You know, Steven goes out, hits the wall. I go through the car, see what he broke. Jordan checks the tires. Brian jacks the car up. You know, you try to keep it in a routine so everybody does the same thing every time, so you know you get it all. And yeah, I mean, basically, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah. Wait, so how did you even start working for Steven?
Well, we've known each other for a while. Like you said, my dad knew his parents. My parents both knew his parents for a long time. Known him for a while, went to school together. Obviously, he's younger than I am, but we really started getting close that time. We tried to go turkey hunting and get out of bed.
Yeah.
Turkey hunting.
But then kind of, you know, I was into racing, helping other people, and just kind of, the closer we got, the more I wanted to help on his car. So when he came to Thunder Road, that was the final straw to help him out, you know, when I moved over to his team full time. Yeah, like I said, I took a couple of years off of the full time. I went back last year to working on the car at the track. But then they built this nice shop, so I figured I'd come back full time. The old garage was a little tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for all of you guys, actually, what was your guys' most memorable race?
For me, I would probably go with the Tiger Championship right off the bat, just because it was such a hectic race.
Yeah.
Steven likes to win championships in the most dramatic fashion possible, with doors hanging
They're
off,
not planned that way.
popping tires, whatever. But luckily, he comes through a lot of times. But I would say the Tiger race, because that was the first time, you know, John was still racing. So that year with the Tiger, it was a lot of just me and Steven. You know, we'd go to John for the advice, but he was running his own late model. So, you know, it was pretty much us. You know, we had to make some choices because he was in the car racing, so we couldn't ask him. That was probably for me. But then watching him win Milk Bowl, knowing how much it mattered to him, was definitely right up there. But
Yeah.
he's making it hard to pick the best one now. Winning them.
I mean, I think everyone, like, I don't think really Steven can handle the dramatic stuff. Like, if his door flings off, that's not really his fault.
No.
What?
It was a rough race.
I
that's for
mean,
sure.
unless he breaks his door off by like hurting it or something. But like, I don't think anyone would risk their life for
No.
No,
fans
it
or
was
something.
just one of them. It was a racing deal. He was racing with the guy he was racing for the championship for. And, you know, it's like you said, racing's racing. You're gonna hit things, you're gonna get into each other, but definitely likes to do it dramatically. Instead of just going out there and winning the race, he's gonna make it a story. You know, you don't just want to go win it.
I
Gonna hit the
mean-
wall, another car.
Do that a lot.
You're bringing back old memories.
Yeah.
Most memorable race for Steven or John or me or,
Everyone.
probably the most memorable was Steven's first race in his standard neon. He went out and practiced and he went off the track and kind of wrecked, and he came back in and he says to John, he goes, "There's something wrong with my brakes." Well, come to find out, he didn't hit his brakes, he hit the clutch thinking it was the brakes, so he didn't stop. So that was probably, he was 11.
I think it's
Between that and him winning the fall brawl at 10 years old, and the trophy was as big as he was pretty memorable. Your first win is,
I mean, the first one's always going to be memorable.
yeah, for Steven. For John, it was John's racing. It was definitely the Milk Bowl. And myself, I mean, I won one race, I finished third. I don't know that there was really any super memorable race besides my win.
I mean, yeah. So, advice for someone who wants to race. Like, what do you give for advice to people who want to race?
That's a tough one.
Anyone can give their own
You've
advice.
got to have a group of people or a crew that want to work on a car. You can learn to work on a car, but you got to have the motivation and the will to do it. It's not something that you do by the seat of your pants. It takes a lot of work, whether it's a street stock or a Tiger or a late model. They all take a lot of work if you want to be successful. So put together a good team or group of friends and go try it. If you want to race, do an enduro. Do the Junkyard Warriors. Enduros are so much fun. Steven will tell you,
Oh, yeah.
Justin races enduros, Amber's run enduros.
Pretty much our whole
Enduros are
crew.
a blast.
We've done
They're
enduros together
they're
before.
so much fun.
Matt White, late model racer, he started in enduro. First race he ever ran was he won the enduro at Thunder Road, moved up the ranks, ended up in a late model.
That must be really cool. Like your first ever race or your first ever indoor race. But like the first ever win you had in your indoor race, you went up ranks. Imagine just that must be so cool knowing that you like beat everyone and you're just going up and up and up.
Yeah, I
Started-
think Matt's
started
the
at the
only
bottom.
one that did that, actually. I think Matt White's the only one that won the Enduro and
Well, you got the
He's moved to
professional enduro racer. You can't forget about Brandon Gray.
Brandon loves
know?
Enduros.
I mean, he's your professional enduro racer.
He runs Tigers now, and he's made a really good racing career just out of Enduros. He 9 times out of 10, if he shows up doing Enduro, he will win it. So he's really good at Enduro.
So for
Not-
people
He's
out
good at everything else too, sorry,
Yeah.
but he's really good at Enduros.
So-
That's his bread and butter.
so for people out there that don't know what an enduro is, can you explain it to us?
Crazy.
Yeah, well,
Crazy.
we'll do it in one word.
Uh,
Crazy. Oh, I was gonna say something, but that's not the right word.
But, I mean,
Awesome.
yeah, but so what enduro is, you go out and you get a car that's not really roadworthy and you put a cage in it. You take all the glass out, you put seatbelts in it and you go race.
Yeah,
200 laps
For
is the
200
goal,
laps.
and
200.
Yeah,
the first person to 200 wins. They start usually Thunder Road has 100 cars on the track at once, and the first one to 200 laps wins the race. And it's a lot of fun. There's a good chance you're gonna wreck because usually everyone does in the enduro, but
yep.
it is the perfect step into if you ever want to race is an enduro because it is the most fun you'll ever have in a race car because you don't have the stress.
Because if you're doing 200 laps, it's going to get you pretty like used to driving around in circles.
You get used to driving the track, and you learn it's not just sitting in a car and turning a wheel. A lot of people think that's all you do. I'd like to see a lot of people get into a car and drive for on a 90-degree day and drive around, see how much they like it.
It's going to be helpful for new people, but I don't think it's going to be that helpful if they crash on the first lap.
Yeah, I know.
One more thing that's nice about enduros is you care because it's still fun and everything, but I finished 15th and I finished dead last one year. I did 4 laps and I had just as much fun doing both of them. You know, when you're working on the late model and you wreck on lap 4, it's a bad day. You're not real happy. So that's what's nice about enduros is not really any stress. You just go out and do your best and you're going to have fun either
And all
way.
your family's there
And
watching you.
You
Yeah.
get a whole day of hanging out with your buddies because usually at Enduro Day, you start at 6:30 in the morning outside Thunder Road Gate before it's even open. And you're there all day long. You just hang out with your buddies and grill. It's a really good.
I want to do that.
That's what I would tell anyone. If you want to try racing,
Start with-
do it in
Start
a
with an
enduro.
Enduro.
I
For
want to
sure.
try that actually. That sounds fun. So there's also a lot of cars in the shop. I don't think you guys can see all of them, but can you explain the classes?
Yeah, so we got my dad's late model, my Tiger. We got another Tiger, another late model, my uncle's late model, my late model, and we got Jaden Perry's late model all
And a
buried in the
dwarf
shop
car.
right now.
Bunch
And we
of-
got a dwarf car up in the
In
other
my garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So car numbers, most important thing about racing.
Yeah.
So then people can bid on the cars and people can scream, I've been on this car, or I go for this car. Why so many, and what do they mean? Like to you guys or to anyone?
So, well, actually, Mom, you can explain Dad. how he
So-
did his.
For our numbers, not so much Stevens. When John started racing in 1996, his little brother Bill was racing, and Bill's number was 31. So John went to Paul and said, "How'd you come up with your number, Dad?" And Paul goes, "Well, I was 31 years old when I started racing." So John goes, "Hell, I'll be 26 then." So when John started racing, he was 26. So 31 was Bill's because that was his dad's number, so he kind of took that over. And then with Steven, it was, he just kind of took
Take over
over
Dad's
dad's number. John's raced the 27 when he raced
Leadelphia.
for Leadelphia. He ran the 45 in Maine. He ran the 84 in Maine. He's run the 26 in Maine. He ran the 26 in the past series.
Breakfast Alley.
Steven's been 41,
yeah.
26.
I've had a lot now. I've been down to
28.
26. Yeah. 26. Then I went to 26 for a long time. Then I went to 41 for Dave Boyce, and Norm gave me his ride, so I'm number 2 for his number. 28 for Rodney Rudin with Richmond. I was a Z car, trying to make it a 2, but it looked like a Z car. I run 31 from Uncle Bill now. I was 29 from the Milk Pool last year for Kevin Harvick. So I don't really have my own number anymore. I've always just kind of had everyone else. And my number in my eyes is 26, which I basically took it from my dad. But I've run all kinds of numbers through the years.
What was the dwarf car, number 1?
Dwarf car was 1.
Justin, do you want to drive or do you just like to fix Steven's
I
car?
like this.
I like fixing Stevens. He's the driver.
I like that part. I wreck a lot.
I like doing the enduros. It's fun, but I'm too scared to go that fast. I'll let him do the driving.
I mean, yeah. I mean, trust me. A lot of people are scared of something. They try it. They do it for 20 years.
But I do the enduros and
Mm.
let him do the fast stuff. He's got the natural driving skill. I hate to give him credit all the time, but
I
he's
mean,
got it. I don't.
gotta give the person the credit that deserves the
Yeah.
credit. Because
You
I
know-
do know Steven deserves a lot of credit. Like you said, for inventing those
Yeah.
back of the car safety things. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, he gets credit for them making new
I
rules
feel
at the track, new safety rules at the track, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Steven gets credit for winning.
Yeah,
That
I get a lot of the credit, but
So
the driver doesn't deserve all the credit. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
usually like the people that
it's,
worked on
it's
the
a
car and
team,
stuff.
yep.
It's a team effort, just
So
like
there-
any other.
There's a thing though, so you've got a lot of people, anyone can drive a car. Not everyone can race a car.
Yeah.
So you've got guys that can race at Thunder Road, and I know a bunch of guys that race at Thunder Road, they race at White Mountain. And they've gone to the bigger tracks like Loudon, Richmond,
Mhm.
Sanair, and they don't like the speed.
Yeah.
Thunder Road, what's the average you're doing down the backstretch?
Maybe faster, but I'm guessing.
And so at Loudon, you're doing what down the backstretch?
I want to say 140, but I don't think that's
I
accurate.
think
going
the first
pretty
year we
quick.
went to Loudon, they were saying that the average speed of the ACT cars was almost as fast as the average speed of the NASCAR Cup car.
Well, I
Actually,
think we were
Yeah.
faster to corner.
Because they had to
Then-
slow down more. They
Yeah,
had more
'cause they had the
straightaway
horsepower.
speed, but the ACT cars could hold the speed through the corners better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard for a lot of cars because don't you have to brake going for the corners?
Yeah, that's where you gotta really trust the guys in the other cars, and that's where it's at a track like Loudon, it's very nerve-wracking because I don't trust everybody I race with to keep that car in line. There's a lot of them, like there are people make mistakes, everyone's human, but there's a lot of cars down there, and there's a lot of pressure, and people make mistakes. And that's the racetrack I don't want to be the guy that gets taken out from someone else's mistake. That's a hard place to.
So, Steven, what is it like in the car, on the track? What are your focus thoughts and mainly what's your mindset?
I honestly, I don't really know my mindset. That's probably a better question for these guys, what my mindset before I go out on the track. When I'm on the track, it's the next car in front of me is the next car I want to pass. I'm doing everything in my power to get past the next car.
Yes.
Right before we go out, we're usually sitting there joking around. Steven likes to be the last one in his car. Everybody else is already lined up, and he's standing there watching him race. We're all yelling at him, trying to get him in his car. But, try to have fun with it. And then once it's strapped in, that's when it gets serious. And that's when he takes over, and we just let him go.
I mean, a lot of
Oh,
the
yeah.
time,
And we all got to do a fist bump through the window.
Yeah.
Especially Amber. She likes to video it.
a lot of the times, you kind of need a funny joke before you start doing something. And like you said, you want to pass people in front of you. I think that's every person's mindset,
Yeah.
especially because like when you're out there strapped up driving, you think about you. After the race or before the race, you always handshake people, other drivers.
There's a lot of sportsmanship in racing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk to drivers before the race. I try not to talk to too many drivers because my luck in the past has been that's the driver I've had an issue with that night. So I just try to eliminate that factor. But I mean, there is a lot of sportsmanship in racing. It isn't always shown, but there is a lot of it between the drivers because everyone knows how much work goes into these cars.
This is my theory. I think because I've seen a lot of people talk and laugh together before the race. In the race, the person that was talking and laughing, one of them ends up flipped over. I feel like my mind, and this isn't my mind, but it's probably not anyone else's, but I feel like when they laugh and then they gain each other's trust, that's when one of them goes without anyone knowing, and that's when they try and attack or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that is accurate in some ways for sure. I don't think it's always malicious that it plans to be that way, but I think it's where it's like, hey, we were pretty good before the race, so I'm gonna take a little bit more here, a little bit more there. I think that aspect there's definitely part of that out there, but that's where things usually tend to go wrong because most drivers they're not gonna back down, and every race usually is gonna do that. So that's where it's hard to separate the joking and stuff off track and then the business, as I call it, on track. And it's very hard for people to separate that.
Now, let's be honest. Talladega Nights, best show ever. It's like literally the best racing show, in my opinion.
Have you watched Days of Thunder yet?
I don't think so.
You gotta watch Days of
But
Thunder.
I've watched Talladega Nights probably 9 times. No, way more probably.
That's a good movie. I like Talladega Nights.
Yeah, Talladega Nights is it's like the most backstabbish movie ever, but then it always turns out to be like
Yeah. Buddies in the end
backstab
and stuff like
and
that.
then in the end. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You gotta get Dad to sit down and watch Days of Thunder with you. You'll like that movie. a
Way
lot.
better movie.
Actually, a bit better than Talladega Nights.
I've never seen Talladega Nights.
I don't know about better. It's a different aspect of how you see racing. Talladega Nights is very comedy, very very funny movie, very good movie. But Days of Thunder, I think you'd really enjoy that. Days of Thunder or The Six Pack with Brewster Baker.
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
another
very
good
good
movie.
movie. Yep. Yeah, those are 2 very good movies you should definitely watch that involve
I
racing.
think you have that on DVD, don't you?
I think I might. I know I got on VHS, but that doesn't. There ain't many VHSs.
So guys, thank you guys, Amber, you, Justin, Steven, Dawn, Amy. Thank you guys all for talking with me.
Well, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having
You're
us. Thanks for
welcome.
coming up.
Thank you guys. Like this entire thing was about you guys today.
Oh, well, it's all for a good cause, supporting your show, and being anti-bullying. So, I mean, we're glad to be working with you. We appreciate you coming up and working with us to get it done.
Most importantly, guys, happy Easter, happy Easter, happy Easter, happy Easter. Same for you guys.
Happy Easter, and we'll see everyone in 2 weeks at the track.
Yeah. for
Yeah.
sure.
It starts, when does it start? Like what day?
We start 12th and 13th in Loudon, New Hampshire. So it's coming up quick, and the car is motor is getting set in. So
Sponsors.
we're a little behind.
Sponsor.
Yeah, I'll start with Vermont and more. On his motivational mornings for sure. Get out. Lowry's Auto Sales. McCarthy Family Maple. AJ Recycling. CEO this Landscaping. Precious Paws. Cigar Barnaby Trucking. Prime Design and Day Spa. I probably said it wrong. I said it wrong. It used to be Prime Hair Salon, and she changed to
Prime Salon and Day Spa.
Prime Salon and Day Spa. My Aunt Maria, sorry. No, Stone Service Station. I think I said Lowry's Auto Sales, but I'm gonna say them again anyway. AB Excavation, Mac Tools, they came on this year. Perspective Graphics, Jason Pelkey for doing sweet vinyl work and sweet throwback.
Yes.
Had a lot.
Barnaby,
Yeah, do
Cody.
that.
CR Barnaby, Cody Chevrolet, Fresh Coat,
GD
GD
Machines.
Machines, Connor's Motivational, Aired Out. And, you know, we have a lot of silent sponsors that buy a tire here or buy fuel
Yeah,
there.
we've had some silent sponsors through the years that have been very supportive to us. And some dad used to race against old 55 Bradley.
Yeah,
I had to throw him out there. He's been really, really good to me over the years. I can't thank them.
So guys, I do something that a lot of people do not do on podcasts. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, where are you gonna be going to next? That's my question.
Like who am I gonna have on next?
Yeah, who are you gonna have next? I know your dad said you got a very busy schedule.
I
ahead of you, so you're
mean,
gonna be.
I'm booked until like the middle of race season,
Oh
so
boy. Well, we're gonna have to sneak you out if we can get the car done to go testing a little bit. We'll have to sneak you
yeah.
out to the track with us so you guys can hang out and see how things are.
So we have Kyle next.
Yep.
So yeah. Do you guys have any more? You guys?
I got one. You
Yes.
gonna come hang out with us at the Enduro this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
I'm gonna try and get a car so I can actually race at the end of
There you go.
Just hope I
Good
don't
thing. It's fun.
crash
Good way
into
to
a
get
wall.
into it.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. We'll make sure you got a good gauge. So you'll be
Yeah.
plenty safe.
Kyle Chaplin's son, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
I don't have any.
Anything
Okay.
from the peanut gallery over there?
So thank you guys again all for speaking with me. So
Buddy.
yeah, next time, this Sunday, we have Kyle Chaplin's son. So yeah, bye guys. Make sure to give everyone else a lot hugs and loves
Thanks for
today.
joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.